You're listening to the See the Unseen podcast, where our number one focus is creating a little visibility for people who deserve a whole lot of spotlight. I'm your host, Melissa Georgioff, and I'm here to share some amazing stories that can transform and inspire lives. So get ready to take those blinders off and see the unseen. Welcome to the podcast. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Bible. So have you ever felt overwhelmed by picking the Bible up? And when you look at it, you see all these little bitty words and there's so many pages. I don't know about you, but it has been very intimidating to me over my lifetime. And and so I want to talk to you about the 5 easy steps to reading your Bible. And I want you to follow along with me because I don't have this all figured out either. I'm kind of ashamed to admit, but I've been a Christian. I'm not ashamed to admit that I've been a Christian, but I've been a Christian since I was 11 years old. But I'm ashamed to admit that over my life, I've really just read the Bible here or there. Like I read all kinds of different stories and Bibles, school. I've read Bible verses. In fact, I send out my Bible verses to about 60 plus people every single morning. And, a lot of times you are like, oh, they're inspirational, or, you're trying to understand what that means. But, when I started going to church group, I realized just how much I don't know about the Bible. And I felt like it can be super intimidating. I know that people that have come to church group have, when we started talking about different stories and the pastor's asking questions, what do you understand about this Bible verse or that Bible verse or this story? And people don't know the answer. They get, a little frustrated or embarrassed. And a lot of times people will just say, this is too much for me. I don't want to be here. And they stop coming, or they're like this, hey, I'm a baby Christian. I'm just learning a little bit. And so they just think this isn't for me and they stop coming. So I wanted to do this podcast, and not just for other people, but also for myself, because I'm like, how can we make this easier and more, and easier to understand? And, so I put these 5 steps together. Number 1, choose the right translation. So I know that I didn't even know there was all these different versions of the Bible until, gosh, I don't know how many years ago, but there's the King James Version, there's the New Living Translation. So I've looked up some of these. The New Living Translation is supposed to be more modern. The New International Version is supposed to be more readable and more accurate, whatever that means. The English Standard Version means it's more literal. Recently, a lady on in my Bible study, Chrissy Wiley, she reads from this Rainbow Bible. Okay, this is one of the coolest Bibles ever. It's like all in these rainbow colors. Okay, it's just easier to read because it's like in sections and it's highlighted. And I'm a visual person, so to me, that makes it easier. It also by color, it says, what is God talking about this time? Like salvation, God, family, love, history, prophecy, evil, sin, commandments, discipleship, outreach, and faith. So depending on what the verse is, it kind of tells you, what the Bible, what God is talking about in that particular Bible verse. Anyway, she had all these like cool little tabs and everything. And, and I've seen people highlight their Bible, but this to me, my daughter bought this for me. I think it was for Christmas. And I really love this. It just makes things easier, and it's easier to read. The other thing is I have a leadership Bible, and I liked that one too, because it gave just different more leadership principles. And I actually sent a leadership version to my old boss one day. I think it was for Christmas or something like that. So my point is there's all kinds of different versions of the Bible. Find one that resonates with you and then stick with it. Okay, number 2. I was listening to a Granger Smith podcast, and a preacher on there was talking about where you start. Some people start, with the Gospels. Some people start the New Testament. Some people start like Mark. So Genesis. Some people start in Genesis. That's what I've chosen to do. And what he talked about is he believes that you should start from the beginning and read it from beginning to end. And I know that can seem really overwhelming, but for me, I think that's better because I want to know how the story unfolds and how, from the beginning of time. And so I would say that, you can read it. You could start in John, which is a clear intro to Jesus's life and purpose. You could start with Mark, which is a fast-paced account of Jesus's actions and miracles. You could start in Psalms, which is prayers, emotions, and spiritual reflections. You could start with Proverbs, which is practical wisdom for daily life. It really doesn't necessarily matter where you start, but I really liked the preacher on Granger Smith's podcast because he talked about starting from the beginning, from Genesis and going, all the way through. And he said, and this is why I wanted to start this, why I wanted to do this podcast, because he said, do one chapter a day and do one chapter a day, every single day, and just take baby steps with it. And because some people think, I'm going to read they have these challenges. I'm going to read the Bible in a year. Some people will say, I'm going to read, I don't know, a whole book in a month. I don't know. But he says, just keep it simple. And that, for me, that resonates, like baby steps, right? So one chapter a day. And then he says, once you read through the entire Bible, then start over. And you're going to do this for the rest of your life. So I think people get discouraged because sometimes the verses are hard to understand. Sometimes it just seems so overwhelming, but we just need to take small baby steps, kind of like me sending out Bible verses each day. I just do one a day. Anyway, and if you hear some sneezing, this is Noelle is like laying on my lap, my little Morky dog. She just didn't want to go outside, and I was like, you know what? She just wanted to lay on my lap, so I'm allowing her. So if you hear some weird sounds, that's my dog. Okay, number 3, set a realistic plan. Again, like I said, it could be one chapter a day and just keep going every single day. But do something that, have a plan and do something that's manageable. Number 4, ask questions and take notes. So what stands out to you? What confuses you? What might God be saying to you? For me, it's, just thinking, praying about it and saying, what is God trying to say to me in this Bible verse? Number 5, read with others. Or consider a Bible study group. I think this is really good too. Or discuss it with a friend. Or if you don't have a friend that's reading the Bible, maybe get online and look for Facebook groups or someone online that you could speak with. But like last night, I was talking to Kennedy about some of the things that I was reading. And so we got into this discussion, and I think it was like 2 hours later, we're talking about all the questions that come up for us about God and the things that we don't know and what the Bible, certain things in the Bible mean. So I would say find someone that you can have these conversations with. And then lastly, I would just say also pray before you start. So this is something we learned in our church group, is that say a prayer and ask God to help you understand what you're reading. And for me, that's really working because for a long time I would start it and I'm like, I don't get this. I don't understand this. There's so many different names in the Bible. But I started Genesis a few days ago again, and I'm just amazed about what I'm learning. Like there are things that I didn't really even know. And, I didn't know that I didn't even know about, and I've heard a little bit about this, but I didn't really understand the rainbow, and that God used the rainbow and that he made a promise that he would never flood the earth again. And that's where the rainbow comes from. And I'm like, I didn't even know that. Like, that's crazy. Anyway, I'm just want to share this with you because if you're feeling intimidated or if you feel like you're stupid because you don't know all the answers in the Bible, well, you know what? Pastors go to school for this stuff. Like, I don't know all the answers either, but I'm going to learn something each and every day. I'm going to read a chapter each day. And if you want to come along with me, then you know what? Start reading Genesis, because that's where I am. If you liked this podcast, please leave me a little bit of feedback. I appreciate all the feedback. And if no one's told you today, you're heard, you are seen, and you are loved. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this episode of the See the Unseen podcast, please share it with someone else and pay it forward. I encourage you also to leave a comment below, as I try and read all of them. So hit the subscribe button if you'd like to receive notifications of new upcoming episodes. And if no one's told you today, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my podcast with you, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode.